Chair Pfaff, you may begin.
Thank you. Welcome. I would like to call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. Welcome to the November 13th, 2023 City of Burlingame Planning Commission meeting. For all those in attendance today, please know that this Planning Commission meeting is being held in person and using the Zoom webinar format. This meeting is also being streamed live on YouTube and will be uploaded to the city's website. Recently, several cities in the Bay Area have experienced Zoom bombing at city council and commission meetings. City clerks from around the Bay Area have reported meetings being disrupted during public comment by individuals espousing disturbing comments. Therefore, out of an abundance of caution, the city has made the decision to no longer allow remote public comment during the council commission meeting. For the foreseeable future, we ask that public either attend meetings in person to comment or send an email to publiccomment@burlingame.org. Staff will be monitoring emails submitted during the meeting, which will be read at the appropriate time. The length of the emailed comment should be commensurate with the 3 minutes customarily allowed for verbal comments. And for anyone in attendance that wants to make a real public comment, there are purple cards. It makes it a little easier in the back. Agenda item number 2, roll call. The record should note that 6 members of the commission are present this evening. Commissioner Camarado is absent. Agenda item 3, request for AB 2249 remote participation. There are no commissioners participating remotely. Agenda item 4, approval of the minutes. We have meeting minutes to approve and to review and approve this evening from October 23rd, 2023, the regular Planning Commission meeting. Do any of you have any comments, changes, discussion regarding the minute? Okay, then I'm looking for a motion.
I move that we approve the minutes as written.
Second that.
All right, I have a motion from Commissioner Schmidt, seconded from Commissioner Horan. I have a roll call vote.
Yes, Commissioner Horan,
Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Aye.
Commissioner Shores,
Aye.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lowenthal,
Aye.
Chair Pfaff.
Aye. Agenda item 5, approval of the agenda. Staff, are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda.
Okay. Do we have any recusals? So I'm going to recuse myself from, which one is that? So which number is it?
10A.
Oh, 10A, I'm sorry, 10A. As I live within 500, in a radius of 500 feet of the project. Okay. All right, agenda item 6, public comment, non-agenda. Members of the public may speak about any item not on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to suggest an item for a future Planning Commission agenda may do so during the public comment period. The Ralph Brown Act, the state local agency open meeting law, prohibits the Planning Commission from acting on any matter that is not on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Do we have any members of the public attending in person who would like to speak on any item that is not on the agenda? And did we receive any public comment emails?
There were no public comment emails received.
Okay, then seeing none, we'll move on. Agenda item 7, study items. There are no study items for review. Agenda item number 8, consent calendar. There are no consent calendar items for review tonight. That brings us to agenda item number 9, regular action items. We're going to first talk about item 9A, which is 201 Burlingame Avenue. As noted earlier, the city has made a decision to no longer allow remote public comment during Planning Commission meetings. If you are a member of the public and would like to comment on this project, please send an email to publiccomment@burlingame.org. Your comment will be read aloud if it is received in time. If you are the applicant and are attending via Zoom, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communications regarding this project? And I have no recusals. Let the record note all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we hear the staff report, please?
Yes, and before I summarize the staff report, I also wanted to note that there are 2 received after communications. Before you should have copies of those at your desks. This is an application for design review for a new 2-story single unit dwelling and detached garage at 201 Burlingame Avenue, zoned R1. The subject property is a corner lot that contains an existing single unit dwelling and a detached garage. The applicant is proposing to demolish most of the existing dwelling and detached garage and build a new 2-story single unit dwelling and a 1-car detached garage. The proposed floor area is 2,680 square feet, where 2,737 square feet is the maximum allowed on this lot. The new single unit dwelling would contain 4 bedrooms, 2 parking spaces, one of which must be covered or required to be provided on site. 1 covered space is provided in the detached garage, and 1 uncovered space is provided in the driveway. All other zoning code requirements have been met. Currently, the site contains a screening hedge along the interior side property line. And based on the proposed project, a minimum of 3 landscape trees are required on site. The landscape plan shows 3 new red maple trees, 24-inch box size, to be planted in the front and street side of the lot. At the Planning Commission Design Review Study meeting on October 23rd, the commission had several suggestions, comments regarding the project. The applicant submitted a response letter dated November 1st and revised plans dated November 2nd to address those comments. Suggested findings for design review are found on page 3 of the staff report, and that concludes my summary. If you have any questions for staff, I'd be happy to take those now.
Do any of you have any questions, staff? No? Okay, then I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you'd like us to add about your project? It's going to be a Zoom, Jesse, right?
Yes, bringing him in right now.
Good evening, commissioners. Could you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, Jesse Gersa from Gersa Conceptual Designs. I'd like to say thank you to the commissioners for their comments during our last meeting. And we've taken those to heart, and I think that they were wonderful suggestions. If I could just go through those and let you know what we've done with those changes. They would be, one was in regards to the windows in the bathroom on the Bancroft side. I had spoken to my clients, and they really liked the larger windows on that side. So what we ended up doing was reducing the height by another 6 inches. And they do have a method of blocking the windows out for any kind of privacy issues. So they weren't too concerned with that. The other question, or the other comment one of the commissioners had was basically the vents at the crawl spaces, which were clay. We went ahead and changed those to a more decorative type of rectangular, typical crawl hole access vent with the wood type of surround that would match the window, so it all kind of coincides together. The other issue was a really good comment by the commissioners, and that was bringing that left-hand side gable at the front over to the right, further over. I think Commissioner Say had a good suggestion in regards to creating a little swoop to match the bottom portion of the house, which we've done, and we've we really liked that idea, and the clients did too. So that was a really good change in our opinion, and hopefully you guys agree. The other one was the maple trees, or the Japanese maple trees I had in there, and we changed those to the red maples. And that was basically the comments that the commissioners had during our last meeting. So I'm here to answer any questions you may have regarding the project.
No. So I actually have a material question that I forgot to ask the last time. So Jesse, and I'll just use the rendering because it's easier for me to talk about. So the rendering of the top left elevation, or even the straight on elevation from Burlingame Avenue side, what material is capping that center? I don't know what you call it.
That would be a cement stucco, similar to what I have currently on my house.
So is it then colored or paint? It's painted. It's just painted dark, like?
Yeah, the renderer painted it dark, but I think we might want to keep that the same color as the body of the house, so that it wasn't as pronounced.
Okay. And well, I'll keep my I have something else, but I think it's more of a opinion. So, okay. So we don't have, yeah, no. All right. So then I'm going to, I want to acknowledge we did get some correspondences about the project. And so I think we've all read those, right? All seen them. And so do we have any members of the public attending who wish to speak on this item? Okay, I'm just going to move around this way. Oh, it doesn't matter, but did you give us a purple comment card? Okay, then you are Fernando, please. Oh, Fernando, yes.
Hey, good evening, commissioners. I am Fernando. I live at 211 Burlingame Avenue, the house that is adjacent to the 201 property. I'm here to leave two comments. So the first, upon receiving of this public hearing notice, we reached out to Robin Herring, who is the planning manager, and we learned that the owners of the 201 Burlingame Avenue house conducted a survey, and the property line seems to be misplaced. So the fence now seems to be within 2 to 3 feet within their property. So, I mean, we are in conversations with Jeannie and Ka. So the point that I would like to make is that we are in the process of also finding one surveyor, and then we want to also do our own evaluation. So before, I'm not sure if the city, I understand that the city cannot partake into disputes between neighbors about property line. However, before any construction is cleared to go, I would appreciate if the city can make sure that the discussion between my family and Jean and Ka is addressed. So we will have a conversation with them after the Thanksgiving. So Ka is currently traveling. So we are already in conversation with Jean, and she mentioned. And in the meantime, we are trying to get a better understanding of how the survey was done, what are the delimitations, but that will be a substantial change in the positioning of the fence. And that could affect also the planning done by the architect. And the other point as well is that the 201 Burlingame Avenue is a historical home considered by the city. So there is a line of basket willow trees that are between our properties. So currently the plan sustains that those will be maintained. And we really would love that those are maintained. So I would like to know how the city could make sure that there is no change in the lining of trees between our home and their home. That's all. Thank you.
May I ask, I'm sorry, I couldn't acoustically hear it. The survey that was done is actually, in fact, more on the fences misplaced on your side? or on the, on,
So the fence would actually, the fence is within their property. So 2 to 3 feet within their property.
oh, within,
So yeah.
oh, I understand. Got it.
Yeah,
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Are there any other comments from, yes? Hello, Raziel. That's. Mhm.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Raziel Unger at 208 Burlingame Avenue. And just wanted to comment, obviously you've all read the letter that we sent in and chat with all the neighbors in the block. And I certainly am a big fan of new construction and people making wonderful efforts and excited to see how this project develops. I just, along with all my 100% of the neighbors on the block, feel there's a nice opportunity to continue to enhance the design to maybe match some other really beautiful Spanish homes in the neighborhood. And so we hope that you can take those into consideration as part of the project. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments about this project from the group here or no? Yes, come forward. Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. Some have cards, some don't. It's fine.
My name's Jason Schmidt. I am a neighbor at 240 Bancroft. I was one of the ones that also sent in like a brief, I guess, graphic. And I think just echoing what some of the other neighbors had said, just definitely very excited about the prospect of something new and developed across the street from where I'm living right now. But also understanding that there may be a little bit, there was a lot of care that was taken to that. Of course, I wanted to commend designer / architect for taking into those considerations. And I think those adjustments could also potentially be taken into consideration on the lower floor, just a little bit of articulation, a little bit of consistency and massing. Because as you do look at that kind of front facade along Burlingame Avenue, it is kind of one consistent plane. And there's a series of different masses that and maybe there's a proportion to it, but maybe it's not reading as well as it could. So again, understanding that the project completely complies to planning standards and different codes. But just wanting to acknowledge that maybe that same care and thoughtfulness could also be applied to that lower level to kind of provide a little bit more consistency.
Great.
Thank you guys.
very much.
I appreciate it.
Sure, thank you. So in this group, there's no. Oh, okay, for this particular project. So is there any, are there any comments online?
No public comments submitted, no.
All right, so.
Sorry, I did have one quick question for Jesse. Jesse, on your floor plan 8.1, I think most of your walls are pochade in red, but the street facing the sorry, the Burlingame Avenue side of bedroom number 1 is shown with hollow walls. Is that an existing wall?
I'm in the process of bringing him back in. Hang on one second.
Is that an existing wall that he's trying to retain?
Did he say yes?
I didn't
He's coming back
think
in.
he's gone.
Give it a second.
Oh, were you asking
Yes.
the question to me, Commissioner Say?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was cut off for a second there.
Yeah, I'll repeat the question. The wall that's facing Burlingame Avenue for bedroom number 1 is shown non-pochade. This is a new home, altogether new home, but is it your intention to retain that wall?
Yeah, we're keeping that wall and all the floor joist and existing foundation around it. And then there's just a couple other walls on the right-hand side that we're kind of keeping. Yeah, I mean, we might sister to them, but you know, that's kind of our takeoff point. That's the setback that we're at. You know, the house was built at its, per the planning zoning requirements for declining height envelope, front setbacks, side setbacks from Bancroft side. There's a bunch of setbacks on corner houses that we had to abide by.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Jesse, since I have you and you're actually pretty clear, the audio is pretty good. Just to clarify, I think I saw in the report you are keeping the basket willow, something like that. You're keeping those, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay, very good. 'Cause
All
that
those
was-
trees on the right-hand side,
Mhm.
all gonna remain. Yep.
Okay,
absolutely.
great, thank you. All right, then I guess I'm gonna, no more. I'm gonna close the public comment, the public hearing. Okay, so I have a couple of comments, but I want to let my colleagues go first.
Oh, comments?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think last time around, I personally may not have paid enough attention to that front, that Burlingame Avenue side of, the bedroom number 1 and that bathroom. I see that the, existing front setback is 15 foot 3.5, and the allowable is 15 feet. And just wondering if there's an opportunity to do a little bit of articulation along that side of the house, little in or a little out somewhere along the way. Just questioning that one existing wall to remain, whether that window in bedroom number 1 is set back a little bit, or the bathroom, the wall around the bathroom with the kind of decorative roof treatment above, maybe that segment can set in. Anyway, just an opportunity there potentially for a little articulation on that side. Otherwise, I do appreciate the revisions that have been made. Still think those upstairs windows should be a little bit shorter, but it's a homeowner's decision. Otherwise, don't have any other comments. Nicely designed home.
Okay. Any,
I'll go. I liked this project the last time it was here. The changes that have been made are small improvements, which I appreciate the architect doing. I think that for those in the public that are still concerned about the design, there isn't anything here in this design that says we shouldn't approve it. I think that if those of you are concerned about the historic nature of that street or are looking for a different outcome on this, I think reaching out to the architect, Jesse, would be a more productive way of trying to influence the design. The design in itself is actually a pretty good design, and I think it's going to look good in this location. So I don't see us as a planning commission holding this up for the comments that I read today. So I would say if you're concerned about it, reach out to Jesse, because I think he's a good architect and is responsive to the people in the neighborhood. But I think that's a good project and I like to see it go forward. And I think that the resolution of the property line can be handled. It's not really a planning commission piece, but it's something that could be handled within the building permit process. Thanks.
so I'm just, it's not a have to, but I've been looking at this a long time and have a couple more little things that I feel could make it a little bit more interesting. In the same line as the commissioners say about having a little more articulation, Jesse, you have in the backyard. And by the way, I also think the windows are really big, but again, that's your choice. You handled the opening for there's a very interesting shape. It's almost like a double opening, right where it is. On the back, you've got this interesting cutouts, but then it has another layer before the windows. And I was wondering if maybe that same concept could be used on the front door cutout, so it kind of matches. You have well, it's kind of flat in the front, all the way across. And then you have these really neat looking, I'm just going to say cutouts because I can't think of a better word. And I'm wondering if you could maybe look at that and consider handling that in the same manner you did in the back, which is quite interesting and it gives it more depth, I think. And I also up to you, but been looking at the top and it definitely improved, but I don't think that what are we calling that thing? This swerving wall coming out perpendicular to this street on the second level on the right. I actually am not sure that's helpful. You have one on the right and the lower side, and there's no other unit that I could see in the building where it comes forward out to the street. I mean, you have if that is a usable balcony, it's got a nice clear wall. Everything's clear, and I'm not sure that's necessarily an asset, that one, the one on the right, which is coming out perpendicular to the structure. But otherwise, maybe just, if you could just consider some of the cutout, maybe making that have a little more depth like the one in the back. So those are my comments. Want to go ahead?
Yeah, I just appreciate the changes that were made as a result of our comments last meeting, but also the engagement of the neighbors. I think it shows interest in the neighborhood to offer the letters and the comments. I like the house overall, but I completely agree with Commissioner Say about that central mass at the front of the house. If that could be bumped out even 3.5 inches, it might create enough of a shadow line to be of interest, because it is quite a flat facade on Burlingame Avenue.
All right, then. So I guess I'm gonna ask for a motion then, or?
I'll make a motion that we approve this project as submitted.
But addressing the comments that we made. No, that's your motion is as,
I didn't hear any comments that were gotta have. I heard comments that were, it would be nice to have. If there's some gotta haves, then maybe somebody should make the motion and can get more in to continue it.
yeah. I mean, just to add to the comment, I think that the articulation at the front or on the Burlingame side, that elevation could also appease maybe one or more of the neighbors as well. So.
And that could be done as an FYI. I mean, that adding that 3.5 inches is not a structural item. It would be just furring extra on the front of that and would be an easy FYI to review. I don't know if it's worth it, continuance on a project that is a good project.
I think it just leaves it to optional if it says an FYI.
You could leave it to staff direction if you give direction to staff to consider a certain way. That's something that could be done if you wanted to say this has to be 3.5 inches or approximately that much. Staff could take the discretion of that and apply it for a potential approval. You could also, of course, as you mentioned, continue the project to another meeting to see those. You could also, you're welcome to open the public hearing back up and have the
what just
effect.
says, all right, I'm
Says
gonna
that
do
you
that.
could, you may agree to that, and then you could
Okay.
obviously incorporate that into your motion, and then you would have the approved motion with the approval of the project.
So I would like to do that. Do I need to call for a vote to open the hearing again?
Nope, as the chair, you have the ability to do
Hey.
that.
Okay, I would like to do that. Jesse, can you come back? Whoops, now it's a challenge.
He's on his way.
Okay.
Hello, commissioners. I was listening on to what you guys were saying, and I'm more than happy to take what I can to push out that front a little bit for a better definition for that front portion of that bathroom. I think that could help for sure. I'm more than happy to do that without having to come back in another month to get this stuff all done and have all the renderings redone. But I can most definitely provide a reveal at the front, pop out. I have no issues with that. I'll do it.
Okay. And now I need to ask I'm opening to anyone who is sitting here who would like to speak again or. Nope. Okay, then I'm going to close it. All right, then I'm waiting for. I'm going to close.
Your motion.
My motion. So it's your motion.
Okay, I move that we approve the project with the condition or understanding that the designer will be using the extra 3.5 inches of front setback to create some articulation around the bathroom on the Burlingame Avenue side.
I'll second.
Great. All right, so that motion was made by Commissioner Say, seconded by Commissioner Schmidt. Have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Haran,
Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Aye.
Commissioner Shores,
Aye.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lowenthal.
Aye.
Chair Pfaff.
Aye. Great, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone who came to on this issue. All right, so, wait a minute, and any action, am I on that one?
Yep.
Yes, any action by the planning commission is appealable to city council within 10 days of the planning commission's action. Planning commission's action has not been appealed or called up for review by the city council by 5 p.m. on the 10th day. This action becomes final. In order to be effective, appeals must be in writing and must be accompanied by an appeal fee of $784, which includes noticing. Okay, now we are on item 9B. Are you leaving? You're not leaving.
I didn't announce earlier that I was recusing from this item. The reason that I'm recusing from this item is because Burlingame, I did a historic report through Page and Turnbull for this item a few months ago. So
Bye.
I will be back.
Okay, thank you. All right, as noted earlier, that's Commissioner Shores is leaving. As noted earlier, the city has made the decision to no longer allow remote public comment during the planning commission meeting. If you are a member of the public and would like to comment on this project, please send an email to publiccomment@burlingame.org. Comment will be read aloud if it is received in time. If you are an applicant and are attending via Zoom, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at this time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communications regarding this project? So Commissioner Shore is recusing from this item. Everyone else has looked at it. Okay. Let the record note all commissioners present have visited the site. Can we hear the staff report, please?
This is an application for design review for a first and second story addition to an existing single unit dwelling at 740 Fairfield Road, zoned R1. The subject property is an interior lot and contains an existing 2-story single unit dwelling. The applicant is proposing a first and second floor remodel and addition and a new single car detached garage. The project would have a total floor area of 3,313 square feet, where 4,366 square feet is the maximum allowed. The existing site is non-conforming in parking since there is no covered parking provided. With this application, however, the number of bedrooms would not increase. The library and office rooms on the ground floor do not qualify as bedrooms. The office on the second floor does not qualify as a bedroom. 2 parking spaces, one of which must be covered, are required for a 4-bedroom house. The proposed detached garage provides the 1 covered parking space and 1 uncovered space is provided in the driveway. Staff would note that the previously requested parking variance has therefore been eliminated. All other zoning code requirements have been met. The site contains 8 existing trees, which include 3 fruit trees and 5 landscape trees. All of these trees are proposed to remain. In addition, 3 new 15-gallon oak trees are also proposed to be planted on site. At the Planning Commission Design Review Study meeting on October 10th, the commission had several comments and suggestions for the applicant to consider. The applicant submitted a response letter and revised plans, date stamped October 30th, to address your comments and suggestions. Suggested findings for design review are found on page 3 of your staff report. That concludes my presentation of the project. And if you have any questions for staff, I can take those now.
Do we have any questions for staff? Okay. Then I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you'd like us to know about your project?
Let me bring him in.
Good evening, Commission. Tim Radines, project designer. Thank you for your comments on our first review. We kind of took all of your comments into consideration. We've added them to the drawings. I think all of the comments that we had received last time had really resonated with myself and the owners. We made those changes. Hopefully, Ruben, you have the more updated 3D drawings that are just that aren't on the drawings. That'll just help kind of a little bit. There's a few little changes on the 3D. That was a separate file, but I think all of the changes and comments actually enhance things. We also included a full landscape plan. So I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have? Yes. Yes.
Hi, Tim. On A 3.2 on the left elevation, I noticed on the layout, you swapped the location of the fireplace on the first floor to
Correct.
the external wall. Is there going to be any chimney or there's nothing shown on that external wall at all?
Yeah, it's just gonna be a vent that goes through the roof. Yeah. I mean, now that gas is a very hard thing to do, it kind of, we also don't have a lot of space on that side, and we still want the car to actually make it to the garage. So, but I do understand.
No problem. And then for that rear addition, is it going to now be cathedral ceiling to follow the line?
Correct.
Okay. So it just a comment more than a question, I guess. I'll wait. Well, you have you on. I'll ask a question.
No, let's go for it.
On A 3.3 on the right elevation at that rear addition, the roof is bumped up from the adjacent roof. It just felt to me like having that at the same elevation would be a more kind of continuity between old and new. And now that you have a cathedral ceiling, it just seemed like there was an opportunity to lower the roof line on both sides. It would also help with the pitch of that addition because the pitch is a little bit shallow.
Yep. Let me just double check that. On 3.3, you said?
Yeah, 3.3, where you have the addition soffit is kind of bumping into the existing roof versus the roof being able to wrap around continuously to look like it's connected.
I understand that. We can definitely, if that could be an FYI, we can, when we're doing our building submittal, we can run a section through it and make sure it works. And we could lower that fascia to connect with the existing, or move that existing roof line to match the new. I understand.
Just a comment. It's just one person. So.
Either comments, questions? I guess one question. No? All right, then I'm going to go to, do we have any members of the public attending in person who wish to speak on this item? Or did we receive any public comment emails?
No public comment emails received.
All right, then I'm going to close the public hearing. So, commissioners?
I can go first. I like this project the first time around, with the exception of the flat roof in the back. Having the pitch dramatically changes it, in my opinion, and looks a lot better. Doesn't look like a afterthought. I also agree with my fellow Commissioner Horan. I wouldn't hold it up, but I think an FYI would be good, but I totally see his point, and I think it makes a lot of sense. But otherwise, I'm in favor of it.
Ditto.
Same for me too, but I understand why he's got a challenge on that side. It's that he's got two different pitches going on there, so he's aligned it on the top to hit, or he can align it on the bottom to hit, but I don't think he can make them both work the same without messing up the pitch of the rear roof. So I think we're gonna end up with one or the other. Just thinking about that three-dimensionally now. But otherwise, I support the project and I think it's ready to go forward.
Yeah, I just want to, it would be great if you could make it work, but if it doesn't, it doesn't. So, but I thought that was a good suggestion if it was going to work out. I also wanted to say, I appreciate that you brought, I think it's different than what you had before, but I appreciate that you brought the, small gauge siding all the way, kind of continued it, even though you have the wider wood siding at the top. I mean, or the newer construction, which I think is fine. But I like that you kind of pull it together with the narrower gauge at the bottom. So it's sort of, it's really helpful to make it feel as one. So I think that was a good job. And I think this is looking really great. So
I'll make a motion to approve the project.
I'll second.
okay, motion to approve from Commissioner Lowenthal and seconded by Commissioner Schmidt. So I'm going to call for a vote.
Commissioner Haran,
Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Aye.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lowenthal.
Aye.
Chair Pfaff.
Aye. Okay.
And that motion passes 5011.
Okay, an action by the Planning Commission is appealable to the council within 10 days. Planning Commission's action, if the Planning Commission's action has not been appealed or called up for review by the City Council by 5 p.m. on the 10th day. In order to be effective, appeals must be in writing and must be accompanied by an appeal fee of $784, which includes noticing costs. And Tim, if you're still there, congratulations. So this brings us to agenda item number 10, design review of 36 Bloomfield. I'm gonna,
Oh, we've got one more before that.
no?
1870.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sippity doo dah. Yep, sorry about that. I'm not gonna leave yet. So, yes, 1870 and 1876. I'll come in around. As noted earlier, the city has made the decision to no longer allow remote public comment during planning commission meetings. If you are a member of the public and would like to comment on the project, please send an email to publiccomment@burlingame.org. Your comment will be read aloud if it is received in time. If you are the applicant and are attending the meeting via Zoom, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communications regarding this project? So we have no recusal this, and all commissioners have visited the site. Can we hear the staff report, please?
Yes, thank you. This is an application for amendment to a previously approved design review project for 7-story, 169-unit residential apartment development at 1870-1876 El Camino Real in the North Burlingame mixed-use zone. I'm just going to give you a little bit of background to summarize the project. This was approved for commercial or a design review, density bonus, community benefits, and a lot merger for the 169 unit building. It was approved on October 26, 2020, came back to the Planning Commission for a 1-year extension in October of 2021. And then under a new code, the Community Development Director approved another permit extension for the entitlements that is expiring this month. So the applicant, prior to that expiration, has applied for a design review amendment, which is before you this evening. There have been no building permits submitted yet for this project. It's not yet under construction. Just to summarize the proposed changes before you this evening, those include the composition of the units. The previous approval did not include 3-bedroom units. The new proposal before you this evening would include 7 3-bedroom units. The project is also changing the percentage of 1 and 2-bedroom units, which were previously 52 1-bedroom and 117 2-bedroom units. The change would be 59 1-bedroom units, 103 2-bedroom units, and then the 7 3-bedroom units. So overall, we still have 169 units total in the building. There were some minor changes to the building square footage, just an addition of 164 square feet. That changed the footprint only by 24 square feet. So very minor changes to the overall building footprint. And the elevation changes are only on the interior courtyard area that faces Murchison Drive. This project originally had a CEQA review called a 15183, which is a general plan consistency checklist. That's kind of an expedited CEQA review that includes some environmental studies. We did go back to our CEQA consultant and request a supplemental environmental analysis, which is included as an attachment to your staff report. And this does conclude that the previous CEQA analysis does cover the proposed revisions and that the project would not change those conclusions presented, and that environmental compliance checklist prepared under CEQA 15183 is still valid and no further environmental review is necessary. So in your staff report this evening, staff just summarized and kind of highlighted the changes to the metrics under the zoning, which were very minor that I summarized. And then we did provide for you some suggested findings for the proposed amendment. So we're going to have a public hearing tonight. The Planning Commission will hear a brief presentation from the applicant this evening. And then we've included the conditions of approval that were part of the original approval back in 2020. So that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Does approving this extend again a year, or is that a separate
It's actually 2 years.
2 years?
So this was approved in 2020. The new code now, any planning commission approvals are valid for 2 years.
So our approval tonight automatically extends it another.
Correct. Yes.
And it might have been in the CEQA, I didn't see it. Does the number of bedrooms affect parking?
The number of bedrooms does affect parking, but there was some changes to the parking, I believe just related, no, I'm sorry, no changes to any of the parking. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Are there any other questions? No? Okay, great. Thank you very much. So I'm going to open the public hearing with the applicant. Please step forward with you and state your name and anything else you'd like to add about.
Good evening. My name is Check Tang, principal with Studio T Square Architects. It's good to be back with you. And first of all, I want to thank you for all the progress and the progression of design that you've given us before when we got the project approved. And thanks, Catherine, for a thorough report. I can represent ownership to say that we remain convinced and excited about this project as a TOD project. At this location, amenities around it, we remain very excited about the prospect of developing the project. As noted, the project was approved October 2020, and the world changed a little bit since then, economically, and especially from a lifestyle point of view, things have changed. The way, we thought was going to be a temporary event where work from home is now becoming a permanent event. So as part of that kind of evaluation of the program for development, we really wanted to look at the programming a little bit differently during COVID and post-COVID. So the change that we made is that we felt like that there's actually a need for maybe some family units in the project because you can work from home. You could actually be with your family at the same time. The other thing was also modifying some of the 1 and 2 bedroom plans instead of just a typical 1 and 2 bedrooms, like a typical pre-pandemic workforce housing. We actually designed dens in each one of those units. So that gives a little bit more of a leeway for the kind of lifestyle that we have, and also helps in the kind of competitions with the marketplace. Slight change of the square footage, and I won't go into that, but the exterior elevation on the entire perimeter remains unchanged. So that's really important to us. The total unit counts remained unchanged. The parking remains unchanged. And then there's some slight modifications in terms of the open space or the coverage, just very modest kind of a change there. The TDM plan, the parking remains unchanged. So if we can go to the next slides, I just kind of highlight a little bit where the change occurred. Next, please. Next, please. So the little tile on the upper right is really kind of highlighting of the changes in the courtyard. The red area is where we changed the 2 bedroom plans to a 1 and 3 bedrooms stacks. And then the pink areas are actually the same type of units, except that we have modified those units to be 1 plus den or 2 plus den. As a matter of fact, the 3 bedrooms also have a den in it. So the idea is to have a family, but also kind of have a small office where the kids are screaming in the back and you can still work from home. And then on the next slide, please. This is kind of a typical stack in the middle of the building that is essentially the same change. And then next slide, please. As you can see, this is the highest level of the plans that we still are retaining all the roof deck in addition to the podium landscape area. So really the changes in the programming. And then next, please. The architecture, happy to report that since this project was entitled, we actually worked on another affordable project right next door, which would complement this project and kind of really complete that whole courtyard. So the change that is kind of bubbled in the lower one is really the changes are only affecting inside that courtyard. And with the new addition of the affordable housing project next door, that would in essence close that courtyard to the outside view. However, we did design that courtyard before we knew there was another project next door. We did design the interior courtyard as though it's visible to view. So it's a true four-sided architecture. And with that, we hope that you agree with our amendment this evening. We are excited to hopefully move forward the project and look forward to your comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
That project you're referring to is where the car wash is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then, so 4 out of 7 commissioners weren't here when this was approved 3 years ago. What's your plan for actually submitting permits and building this going forward?
I would leave that to the applicants. I think we're still kind of working on the development side, kind of creating a partnership for that projects to move forward. As you know, multifamily market rate projects are little rough around the edges right now, but we're still working on that. So, but Ryan or James, anything to add?
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's I think the best answer we can give. We're still working on it.
Working on it.
Yeah, if you wait too long, you might have to come back and change the architecture. I'm out of style by the time you.
Well, what we hear is that 24 is where we can tighten our belt, and 25 where things will move along, hopefully. And so hopefully the development community sees it that way too. So
thanks.
Thank you. Any more questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to close the public. Oh, now I have to ask the public. Yes, public. Anyone here would like to comment on this project? Or are there any public comments?
There were no public comment emails.
Okay, then I'm going to close the public hearing. So commissioners?
I'll start because I think I'm the only commissioner that served on the commission at that time. Were you there? You're not listed on the minutes.
Maybe
Oh, whoops, sorry. Okay, as one of two.
was too.
No, but sitting here right now is what I'm saying, but I'm wrong. Yes. Commissioner Schmidt is also there. I recall at that time, the project was very well received. I myself, and I believe my fellow commissioners were really pleased with the design of this project. And I have been waiting actually since that 2020 October for this project to break ground. And so glad to see the improvements that are being made. I really do appreciate seeing the den additions. I think that totally makes sense. Good to know also, didn't know about the affordable housing project that's taking place over in that remaining quadrant where the car wash is. So all in all, nice improvements, and probably makes better sense now with that quadrant filled in as well. I would say wholeheartedly support this project and move forward. Hopefully you'll break ground sooner than later.
Agreed.
All right, then, yeah, I just want to say this is one of the really nice looking ones that came in. There was a whole bunch, there were a bunch of them that came in at once, and I was not on the planning commission, but I remember looking at it thinking it was really cool, especially that middle element, and I'm glad to see it's still there. And so I don't have a problem with this either. So then how do we do this? You were saying it has to be a whole list of.
Just a normal motion.
Oh, okay. Just one.
I move we approve the project as proposed and as per the conditions of the staff report.
Second that.
Okay.
It was him.
Okay.
Keep your mouth open.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Say to approve the project, seconded by as per the staff report and conditions of approval, and seconded by Commissioner Warren. And so congratulations. And
Oop.
so,
We need a roll call.
I'll vote.
sorry, yes, I have to vote.
Commissioner Haran,
Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Aye.
Commissioner Shores,
Aye.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lowenthal.
Aye.
Chair Pfaff.
Aye. All right. An action by the Planning Commission is appealable to the City Council within 10 days of the Planning Commission's action. If the Planning Commission's action has not been appealed or called up for review by the City Council by 5 p.m. on the 10th day, the action becomes final. In order to be effective, appeals must be in writing and must be accompanied by an appeal fee of $740, which includes the noticing cost. Congratulations. Okay, now I go. Now we're moving on to item 10A, 36 Bloomfield Road. And I'm leaving.
You can stay here. All right, as Commissioner Pfaff leaves, I can read, as previously mentioned, the city has made the decision to no longer allow remote public comment during planning commission meetings. If you are a member of the public and would like to comment on this project, please send an email to publiccomment@burlingame.org. Your comment will be read aloud if it is received in time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any parte communications regarding this project? Seeing none, let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we hear the staff report, please?
Yes, thank you. This is an application for design review and special permits for plate height and second story balcony for a first and second story addition to an existing single unit dwelling at 36 Bloomfield Road, zoned R1. The applicant is proposing a first floor addition at the front and rear of the dwelling and a new second story. The project includes converting the existing detached garage to an accessory dwelling unit or ADU. The proposed floor area would be 3,051 square feet, where 4,025 square feet is the maximum allowed. With this project, the dwelling would have 5 bedrooms, No parking is required for the ADU because it's part of an existing accessory structure. In addition, the code states that when an existing garage is converted to an ADU, those off-street parking spaces are not required to be replaced. Therefore, the proposed project has no covered parking requirement under the zoning code. One uncovered space, however, is required to remain on site and will be provided in the driveway. The applicant is requesting a special permit to increase the existing plate height on the first floor from 8 feet to 9 feet 6 inches, where 9 feet is the maximum allowed. And the plate height on the second floor is being requested to be increased to 8 feet 6 inches, where 8 feet is allowed. A special permit is also being requested for a second floor balcony at the rear of the house that's 70 square feet. 75 square feet is the maximum allowed. As noted, the project includes converting the existing detached garage to a 537 square foot accessory dwelling unit. And per state law, accessory dwelling unit applications are administrative only and not under the review of the planning commission. Staff has determined that the proposed ADU does comply with our regulations. Please note that the detached ADU is exempt from the lot coverage and floor area regulations as per state law and is not included in the totals provided in the summary table in your staff report. Staff today has provided for you the required findings for design review as well as the findings for special permits. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, I'm going to open the public hearing. Would applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you'd like to add about your project?
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Naseem Noveen. This is my husband, Ali Danishju. We're the owners of 36 Bloomfield. We just want to take a moment to introduce ourselves. We moved to Burlingame last August, and we just gave birth to our first child, a son, 5 weeks ago. So our family is expanding, and so we're also hoping to expand our home with the hope of, living in Burlingame long-term and making this our forever home. So really look forward to hearing your thoughts and feedback on the plans. And I believe our architect Azad is on the Zoom line as well, Dan. Thank you.
Does your architect want to make any presentation or just for questions?
I'm not sure.
He's coming in now.
Okay.
Hello. Hi, my name is Azad. I'm a designer of this project. Thank you so much for your time. I'm sorry for this one because I was in the hospital. My mom has some surgery today and it's unexpected delay on the process and I'm still in the hospital. Sorry for voice if it's in here. I try to find a quiet space in the hospital. I'm so sorry. First of all, I want to thank you for your time for reviewing our design, and hopefully that I'm waiting for your comments and your feedback for this project. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I do.
Mr. Schmidt.
So I see that you're requesting a special permit for the plate heights for the first and the second floor. I tried to read the application, but it didn't really give a reason why you wanted to have the raised sill height or plate height.
Well, only 6 inches for the first floor because usually it's about a 2-story house, and the owners is that the owners wants to have a little high ceiling in the first floor and the second floor. For example, we don't want to have a 10 feet or more than 10. This one only 6 inches exception. That's it, because they feel more bigger. They want to feel more bigger house and bring more light to the house.
Okay.
Any other questions?
This is maybe just for interest. The front bedroom on the ground floor is massive, 320 square feet, and there's a giant window in the front from a privacy standpoint and the size of that bedroom, and it doesn't appear to be the master. So just a question on the use of, or whether you're concerned about the size of that window in a massive bedroom on the ground floor of the building.
Sure, I think the owners want to respond to this question.
Sure. So that's the current living room of our current house, which we love. It's just like the style of it. It has some of the kind of original Mediterranean style that we wanted to maintain. And especially I think that window from an outside perspective, we want to maintain that for the look of and feel of the house. It's not the master, it'd be a guest bedroom. So it wouldn't be used super often. It would probably be guest bedroom, maybe / home office. I have thought about privacy for that and kind of thought about like a Mediterranean, almost like, I don't know how to explain it. Something to cover it while also allowing us to maintain that look from the outside of the house.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Any other questions? Okay. Do we have any members of the public attending in person who wish to speak on this item? Did we receive any public comment emails?
Hi, my name is Jürgen Pfaff. I live at 615 Bayswater Avenue. I'm a neighbor of the people here that want to do the addition. And I have looked at the plans because there is a 36-inch redwood tree on the plan that is on our property. And that's one of the main reasons I come here to talk about the project. First, I would like to say the project from the layout and the placement and the footprint on the project looks really good to me. I really like it. But I do see that some areas of excavation will potentially affect the trees. We have, in addition to the redwood, there are also mature podocarpus on the property. And so we would request that the contractor be very careful and mindful of any tree roots, particularly with the big redwood tree, so that the health of the tree remains intact and also the stability of the tree. So that's all I came here to talk about. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other members of the public?
And there were no public comment emails submitted.
Bless you. I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, do you have any comments or motions?
Okay. So I'm kind of struggling with the overall, the windows are not holding together for me as far as their layouts and sizes. The window in the front, I agree it's a front window on the front elevation, but it's not a bedroom window. And so that, it feels weird to me, that one. I think that when you come back, it's important that you have your window details figured out. Typically we get sections and details through them so that we understand how they're working. And so that needs to be included in the set when it comes back. I'm concerned with the open plan. I love open plans. However, I'm not seeing where your posts are going to be or where the walls that you took out would otherwise support the second floor. So I'm just concerned that before you get too far along and find out the posts to support the second floor are going to get in the way of what you've designed, it could be challenging. I'm not seeing a good reason for the special permit. We've acted for the height. I mean, that's one of the reasons we've enacted this, is so that the houses that are actually fairly small in proportion don't get tall in proportion. And so that's why we have that height limitation. Some of the good reasons can be if they're in a flood zone and they have to raise their floor heights. There's things like that that come into play, but this one I don't see any extraordinary reasons why we should be raising the plate heights. I think that there's some design work on this one, and I'd like to hear more comments from my fellow commissioners on that.
Yeah, I actually was struggling with what style the house wanted to be. I thought maybe it was trying to be Spanish style. So now that I understand it's a Mediterranean style design, I think that there could be some additional design elements that can come into play, especially with that front arched window, receiving some grid detail. it'd be nice to see that applied towards more, all of the windows or more of the windows. Maybe the front door design could look more Mediterranean in style. I feel like like from the roof design, it looked nice. It seemed like it was all pulled together and everything makes sense. As the elevations, as I study the elevations, it just seems like a lot of details are pared down to almost none. And I think a Mediterranean style home would be beautiful. I think that some more attention could be paid to bringing in some more some more elements, decorative elements to reflect that style. The window trims could help in that case. The sill and the apron looks like they're a bit overextended. And wondering if, some detail could be applied there. Overall, I'm kind of wondering if this could be a good candidate for a design review consultant to help pull that Mediterranean style out of the home and apply some interest. I mean, if the floor plan works okay. And I just think it's about making the exterior come together and be the style that the homeowner would like to have. No, I also don't see the justification for the plate height increase. I think with a 9-foot plate height, that should be very sufficient. Ceiling height and maybe even use of any available attic space to create extra volume in some areas as applicable. But as Commissioner Schmidt had shared, there's a reason why the city has changed the maximum plate height to 9 feet and 8 foot for the first and second stories accordingly.
Thank you, Commissioner Say. I tend to agree with my fellow commissioners. I think design review consultant may be very good for this project. In looking at the adjacent properties, I feel like the plate height increase would create a substantial visual appearance, especially to the one to the left. The one to the right is a newer construction, but I can't tell. I don't think that one has a raised plate height above our standard. So this one would look a little out of place in my opinion. The overall design of the house is fine in my opinion, but there are many details lacking. The only other thing I wanted to say, well, two things. As a builder, I agree with Commissioner Schmidt. It's going to be very expensive to create that open space. You may want to consult with the structural engineer prior to moving forward, just so you get an idea of cost, because there's a huge difference between running a 30-foot beam and running a 15-foot beam. So I would consider that. And then for the public comment about the tree, I would certainly rest your worries on a good tree protection plan by a certified arborist, which is usually required by the city. And they'll make sure that the any excavation that's happening within the root zone of the tree is non-harmed. So at least I'm held to that standard as a builder. So I'm sure this one will as well.
I generally agree with my fellow commissioners on this. I do generally like the design of the house. I think it's very pleasing. It looks to me, based off of just the layout of the house, that it might have originally looked more Spanish revival or Mediterranean revival, and over time the roof was replaced with asphalt tiles. That's kind of what it kind of reads to me. So it's nice to see the perhaps original design inspiration going back in that way. I also thought it was going a little bit more Spanish, but they're Spanish revival Mediterranean. They're very close. And they borrow a lot from each other. I think that if the applicant wants to go for Mediterranean revival, there are a couple of small things they could do to really accentuate that. Really lots of small details. They're kind of already leaning that way with the device over the small gable at the covered walkway. That appears to just be like kind of recessed shaped stucco. So that covered walkway, that's a great opportunity to put in an arch, both on the street facing side and also on the interior facing side where it's going to face the driveway. If those openings were arched, that kind of referencing the front arched window, that would go a long way to kind of having lots of small little nice details that kind of are like the hallmark of this style, basically. I think just an idea for issue that other commissioners found. Currently the primary gable facing the street is an open gable end. Right now it's been changed to a hip. If you were to leave that open, you might be able to take the window that you have and just bump it up by 3 feet, which solves some issues with privacy, but you still have a very prominent large arched window at the front, which is something that's kind of a hallmark of this style and this typology. Also, this is on the less important side. The knee braces, they're okay. They're not something that you normally see with Spanish and Mediterranean and mission style things. However, there is an opportunity depending on if they're looking for more elaborate stuff or more rustic stuff, because those are different ways you can take the style. If you wanted to go more rustic, you could open the eaves and have exposed rafter tails. If you wanted to keep it more on the slightly elaborate side, you keep them closed. I think as well with the shaped stucco above the gable end on the entryway and other places, anywhere that like that's kind of like a focal point. That's also a really, really good place to put in some kind of a simple tile mosaic kind of thing, not a real mosaic. You can, get them from contractors and just stick them up there, but that's an excellent place for that. And it's also something that you see on older versions of the style all the time. It's a great way to add a little bit of color to the facade that otherwise is just white stucco into clay tile. Otherwise, I think it's generally a pretty good design. I like where it's going, and I think it's got a lot of opportunity for small improvements.
So how are we leaning? Are we thinking design review consultant or bring it back?
Yes, we can make a motion.
I just wanted to comment on the Spanish Mediterranean. I think I maybe just use those interchangeably. I'm not as well versed, but super appreciate I think we were going for Spanish, but I will educate myself a little bit more on the distinctions between the two styles. But in general, we are trying to maintain the original style of the house, which I think, to your point, is kind of somewhere between Spanish Mediterranean. So
Right.
thank you for that.
They get crossed all the time.
Yeah.
I get confused too.
Okay.
So it's not a problem at all.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we bring this project back on action and send the project to a design review consultant.
I'll second.
All right.
Do I need to add about the plate heights to the motion?
No, not.
Not at this time, because we're not no action right now.
Design review consultant.
I think there's good feedback for the design review consultant. You can certainly comment on that if it's not the way the commission feels it should be. Sorry.
Can I make a side comment to the applicant? Congratulations on the birth of your child.
Can absolutely.
Yeah.
Being here, week 5.
Indeed, congratulations. So we have a motion by Commissioner Say and a second by Commissioner Schmidt. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Haran,
Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt, excuse me. Yes, Commissioner Schmidt,
Aye.
Commissioner Shores,
Aye.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
and Acting Chair Lowenthal.
Aye. So that's
Motion passes.
5011.
Yes,
Aha. Action is not appeal.
correct.
All right. Bring back the real chair.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. Okay, so let's see. And I guess we're on to agenda item 11, Commissioners Report. Are there any Commissioners reports? Well, I think I'm going to make a report. I was at the Broadway specific area plan meeting. It was a Zoom. I can't remember when it was, a couple weeks ago. So I'm just reporting. They had some very interesting renderings of ways to handle that thoroughfare there and kind of divide up space so it feels more welcoming, I guess is the word, as it was. But nothing has, of course, been decided. It's just a bunch of various different ideas. So, Right? Then agenda item 12 is director's reports.
I believe Assistant City Attorney Scott Spansel has something to share, so I'll pass it over to him.
Yeah, just quickly wanted to go over some recent updates that we've had at the city council. At the last city council meeting, for anyone interested, there was a pedestrian ban on smoking outdoors in Broadway and now downtown Burlingame. That's going to go until December 31st, 2024. So that's something that's relatively new. But I also wanted to alert any interested parties out there in the public that at the November 20th city council meeting, we're going to hear another potential, or we're going to hear the council discuss a potential amendment to the city's flavored tobacco ban that would allow on-site hookah use. So anyone who has any opinion on that should come out to that meeting. And we're also going to be talking about our potential discussion on a tree update, which I know for the municipal code for trees and how we currently look at whether trees and the requirements that go along with them should be changed. So that's something that I know is a big community interest. If you're interested in starting that discussion, there's going to be no action taken at that meeting. But if you're interested in being a part of that discussion and shaping that, November 20th will be the first time to see that in front of the city council. But that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And future agenda items. Are there any future agenda items? Any ideas? Nope. Okay, guess not. And then this meeting is adjourned at 8:20. Thank you.